morning. Good morning, everyone. See what happens. It's been a whole week since we've been on, and I forgot how to talk. I have no voice. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I'm not going to yell too much because it is quite early here, and I do have a lot of people in the house sleeping. But good morning. It is the Badass Buddha, Lori Monaco, coming to you from Mission Beach, San Diego, California this morning.
It's what time?
It is 5:02 a.m. and I would say it's nice out. It is nice out, but it's so dark still I can't tell. But of course, it's always nice. It's San Diego. What the hell? The weather's beautiful.
You know, when I woke up this morning, I was like, oh my God, the sun's not fully awake. So I guess fall is really here. I'm so used to waking up at 6 something and the sun is like, bam, get up. So, but isn't it beautiful even to be up? Like the thought of being up at 4 or 5 for the show is like, oh, Maron. And then you get up and doesn't it feel so good?
Oh, I know.
I
know. You get the whole day. You keep looking at the time going, wait, what time is it? You feel like you've been up for hours and hours, and you're like, it's only 9 a.m. here, But today is our last day here. We came in for my nephew's wedding, and we leave at we leave at 2:10 today to fly back to New York. So
that's beautiful. And shout out to Tiffany Bryan and my brother Molleto.
Yes,
for being on so early. And good morning, mi gente. I am the Gladiator Guru here from Tampa. The sun is coming out now, but it was kind of cold here as well. It's been cold in the evenings. But then it gets to 80. But yeah, we're here. And let's have a great show. Who am I? Who are you? What are we doing today?
We are taught. Okay, so we'll say who you are first, and then we'll talk about what we're doing.
I am La Margarita, your Gladiator Guru. And excited. I wasn't here on Thursday because of Ian on Wednesday. It was,
Yeah, that's a lousy excuse, by the way.
Really not.
A hurricane, loss of power. I mean, seriously, how entitled are you that you're like, you know what? I can't get on.
Power on and off, just it's like you go into labor and you're 3 days in labor because then your body just wants to fall down because you're anticipating this category 4 coming to take your house out of Kansas and land somewhere in Oz, and you're like, oh, Maron, what am I going to do that? So all of that takes its time. It takes your energy, but God is good, and prayers to all the family, and I've been praying for them since it happened, in Fort Myers and Naples and all the ones that really did get impacted by Ian. He did not leave quietly into the night. He must have really been close with Dylan Thomas.
I'm actually shocked. I mean, I haven't really been not paying attention to the news because I've been so busy over here, but that thing hit at such a high impact. So it could have done so much more damage, so much more damage with the how strong those winds are. I'm just amazed. I don't know if it's our infrastructure. I don't know if it's just I don't know what it is, but there's been hurricanes that have gone through that have been less of a category that have devastated areas. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that we're just building better or maybe just the way it was hit. It was just everything lined up so it didn't impact as much. But I mean, it's still impactful. I mean, there was still created a lot of damage, and I'm probably going to regret saying that because I'm going to look back on what the hell am I talking about? Looking at pictures going, it's awful.
It is awful. I think Fort Myers, part of it was totally wiped out. But just prayers out for strength, for courage, the endurance that they have already had, because many have gotten to work right away with the cleanup and they've lost everything. And just remember that people, places, and things are outside of you, but What's in you is your courage, it's your kindness, it's your gratitude, and homes can be replaced as long as everybody in your family that lived in that home is safe right now.
Yep.
So blessings to everybody. And yeah, so that's what happened. It's I think the weekend went by pretty quick. I still haven't put my sanctuary back together. Hola Milagros, because the storm just soaked. I removed everything out of my sanctuary into my art room, and my wind chimes, everything. Art that was on the wall, because I didn't know it was, they said it was coming here. But even with what did come my way, just soaked up the whole carpet. I vacuumed it several times.
Oh no.
So it has that wet rug smell now. So I've been spraying like eucalyptus on it, just to see. So I've been putting the fans on it. So I haven't been able to put that room back together because the rug is still wet. But pretty much everything else in the house is back into place. Busy with that, and just that's it. That is it.
Little by little.
Well, but that was nothing. Like, it's just my porch got wet, is what I'm saying. So I'm grateful. Because what's the intention of today?
Well, the intention, as always, in Viva Cafe con Leche is to be intentional and
grateful.
That's right. Intentional, grateful. So go out today, set your intention for whatever it is today. Today's always a new day, new intention, and you could set an intention anytime during the day, and you can set multiple intentions during the day. So do that with
gratitude. Yes. Do it with gratitude. Every breath you take, it's gratitude. It's like, yeah, wow. So you're giving gratitude all throughout your day. And I just love when we recognize individually what we're grateful for, whether it could be a cold glass of water, a warm cup of milk, whether it could be a gratitude of seeing, someone, a couple walk by hand in hand, whether they're 16 or they've been married for 68 years. You know what I mean? That kind of gratitude to see beauty in everything that you're witnessing. And that's the simplicity of life. And if you can do that every day, then you're ahead. You're ahead of the times. Things are gonna happen, but when you have an intention every morning to say, I'm going to do everything I can to make today the best day for me. That's all we have, right? It's today. And when you do that, then you're filled with gratitude. So you'll hold the door open for somebody. You're gonna smile freely at many people you come into play with. If somebody aggravates you over here, you're not gonna take it out over here. You're gonna smile because you know what it is to be aggravated. That's the intention, to be filled with gratitude daily. And we forget because we stumble, we get a pebble in our shoe, or somebody throws something at the back of our head. Shit's gonna happen throughout your day, but it's what you choose to do at every moment that matters.
That's correct. I'm getting frustrated. You're talking about being so grateful, and I'm going, why do they keep changing things on Facebook? I can't find anything. And I'm trying so hard to find the video. I was on a second ago, but I wasn't on as I was on as me. I wasn't on as Viva. So there we go. I think I got it. But oh my goodness, what a pain in the tushy.
It really is. Good morning, Georgina Carmencita. Buenos días.
Carmencita.
I
could save this. Yeah, here we go. I think I find. Gosh, they make it so much harder. I don't know why I have to do
the algorithms are changed, so we don't get to see as much information as we want, or people see ours.
And so we've had a great time here in so for those of you that are tuning in, I'm in San Diego. I'm in Mission Beach. We are literally 3 minutes walk to the beach. Like, you just walk out the door and take a left, and the beach, the ocean is on that side. And then if you walk 5 minutes to the right, you're at the bay. So it's an interesting little peninsula, and it's really absolutely fantastic. And it's going to, we leave today, but it's been a wonderful time. We came in for my nephew's wedding, and I got to see one of my other nephews that I haven't seen in a few years, who lives in Australia. And it was just like an absolutely fantastic time. My kids and I was out here with all my kids, and loved it. So sad to go, but all good things must come to an end, right? So.
And are sad but necessary.
Yes, right. Exactly.
And that's the truth. And people don't want. No one likes to hear that. But it's so true. But for every ending, there's what?
A new beginning.
Yes. So we really don't lose.
I questioned. Is that what you're looking for?
It's a new beginning for every ending. For every beginning, there's an end for a new beginning.
And that's the beauty of it is that's what today's conversation is about, because we weren't there for Thursday. I was flying. Gladiator Guru had no power. We didn't have the broadcast, which is funny because in all the years that we've been broadcasting now, we've only missed the show, I think, 2 or 3 times. That was either the second or third time we've missed. We couldn't broadcast the show, and we had already planned for that just in case that happened. So we had intended to end the September's month show today, and then start the October the October month, where we're going to focus on breast cancer awareness and domestic violence. We're going to start on Thursday. So today is the finalization of September's taking control and taking action of your life. And we had talked about what are you not seeing, what are you not feeling, what are you not hearing, what are you not saying, what are you not doing. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about what was the very first show with Gail. It was about oh my gosh, I usually have my notes in front of me.
Wasn't that forgiveness?
I said forgiveness. Hers was abandonment. Hers was abandonment. And now we are here. Oh, and then what's walk in your own effing shoes.
My favorite.
And today is take the leap. So we're going to be talking about everything that you've worked on for the month of September, all culminating into taking the big leap. So before we get going, we're going to do, we set our intention. We're going to do our mantra. I'm going to have to not yell to do the mantra. And then we'll get moving, right? How's that sound?
Sounds wonderful.
Okay, so I see some great stuff. Look, Georgianne, missed you gals on Thursday. We missed it too. It's just, it was hard for us to not be on. Glad you're safe, Margie. That's wonderful. Okay, mantra, here we go. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I'm spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I am beyond authentic.
And I keep it real.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, so how did you do for yourself, Gladiator Guru, with regards to September?
I did pretty much. I started everything that I said I was going to do in September. How's that?
Fantastic.
There was about 6 weeks of internal war with being indecisive. And that was complete. Then I felt exhausted, as though I was actually out in the battlefield. My body was just like worn down. But you look at everything that you say you want to do, and just this is a bit of advice, mi gente. You look at everything that you say you want to do, and just this is a bit of advice, mi gente. The badass Buddha and I have discovered this time and time again until we discovered this. If that makes sense.
Yes.
You go through something and you learn it and you understand it, but then it doesn't register as a training course, right? Like a boot camp fucking training course, right? So you forget. And then you go through life and then you're brought back to the realization that you have actually done what you said you were going to do. Because by done, I mean you initiated it. You've already sewn into the tapestry of your thought process and of your courage. It's not complete, but it has begun. How's that? Are you following? So when you think that you want to do something and you give yourself a time thing, but you're like, oh, but then you initiate it, then you did it. And that's where we are not celebrating ourselves. And that's where the badass Buddha and I, through all the conversations we've been having, through other transitions that has been happening in our lives, we need to celebrate every idea thought through to the end, okay? Every idea that you ink down on paper, because that's courage, not only to think it, but to actually write it, because now you got to see it. And then to begin it. It's courageous of you. It's a celebratory event. What?
Take the leap. You said begin it.
We're not thinking ourselves. How quick are we to think strangers? Or for somebody that's doing their job like we're doing our job. But we never celebrate ourselves. We don't look in the mirror and say, you did a great job, Margarita. I do. But I mean, now. It took me over 50 years to learn how to thank myself. So celebrate yourself, because in celebrating yourself, then you are confident in taking the leap forward in your own life.
Yep.
Bye. Hey, Petey.
Iritza, girl, you badass. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You are taking the leap right now. And that's, and the thing is, taking a leap is about you take a mental leap, emotional leap, you take a physical leap, and they all have to line up. And that's what we've been doing in September. We've been wanting you to face all the things, the barriers, all the excuses, all the things that you have been putting in your way. We've wanted you to move them out. So you have to visualize it as this, that you are walking on your path. And as you're walking, there's like crap on the path. There's rocks, there's logs, there's branches, there's just items. And we wanted you to take them and just throw them. And you can even visualize like the mental items, anything that was on your list of things that you weren't saying, doing, all that stuff. Even if it was just the mental and emotional stuff, or it's just sitting there in like big boxes or boulders with the name on it, take it and throw it. Maybe it was a certain person and they're preventing you, or you feel like they're preventing you from doing things. Sitting there, you take it and you throw it out of the way. And then you get to a doorway, or you get to the edge of a cliff. And that's what we're talking about is, let's not be so drastic. Jumping off a cliff is scary. So sometimes taking that leap, it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But even just a door, we always talk about opportunities and we say, oh, when one door closes, another door opens. Yes. But a lot of times the door will open and we'll just look there and go, that's nice. We won't take that step outward. And that's what this was all about, was taking that leap, is to stand at that threshold and say, yep, I know what needs to change. I know I have to change and I know what I need to do. But knowing what you need to do and actually doing it are two different things. Mm-hmm. So taking the leap means that, you opened that door. You've come face to face with the fact that these things in your life need to change. Now you need to actually step forward and walk out. And maybe the thing is you can't see what's outside that door. You don't know if it's a little bit of a drop. You don't know if it's you don't know if there's steps, but you can't see it. And that's why you've been afraid. We've been afraid to take that step. But the moment, as Gladiator Guru was saying, is the moment you start to come to these conclusions that things need to change in your life, and you need that you're looking at this going, okay, this is just, it's such a thorn in my side that I've got to do this. Once you've come to that conclusion, things should have already been shifting. You should have already noticed things starting to change. Like all of a sudden you heard somebody, like maybe you said, what am I not doing? I've always wanted to travel. And all of a sudden, all this stuff it comes into your awareness about going somewhere or traveling, or something that you said you were going to do, or somebody says something that you say, I can't deal with this person anymore. And then that person comes back with like saying all kinds of crap to you. And you're like, okay, thank you so much, because that's what I needed to hear. I needed to hear your mouth, because that just validified what I was thinking about you. So thank you so much for that. So all of a sudden, all these things come into play, because once you open yourself up to the possibility, the universe opens it up for you. God opens it up for you. Now it's just a matter of us being open and seeing it, and then taking that leap. So what have you come up with that is your leap? What is it that you're going to set yourself up for between October, November, December? And if you want, if it can't happen for a few months, to say, what is that leap that I'm taking? So put it in the chat. For all the work that you've been doing on yourself for that month of September, what is your leap? What is it that you've been feeling called to with the work that you've been doing? And listen, we're going to throw you out on this. Nothing gets done unless you put the work in. So for those of you that have come on, we are so grateful that you're here. We love you when you come on. But this is for you, right? We've done the work for ourselves too. So it's like it's not like we haven't been answering these questions, but this is for you. So if you've just been watching but actually haven't been filling out that stuff, go back and do it. Go back, watch the videos, answer the questions, fill it out. You don't have to watch the whole video, just answer the questions. And then ask yourself, what is my leap? What is being drawn out? Because I'm going to share with you what my leap is. Because the moment that I started this journey and started to say, okay, this needs to change, this needs to go in a different direction, I finally got out of my own way. I had to deal with what I was afraid of. And because we all have fears, and that stops most of us, and then when I finally said, you know what, I'm just going to trust in the process, and I'm going to go for it. That's exactly what I did. So over the last few couple of months, it's been an interesting journey for me. And my leap, so here's my announcement, is November 8th, I leave Connecticut. Ooh, didn't expect that to come out. And I'm moving to New Mexico. My kids and I are moving to New Mexico. And that took, let's see, it's been since June, since sort of running its way in since June. And that's my leap. And this is a big one, because it is, I'm not taking all my kids. My oldest, she's established, she's doing her thing. So she's going to stay behind, which makes me sad, and it makes her sad as well. But my two youngest kids and I, we out.
And that's a big leap. And that's a big leap, because why? Because you believed in who you were. You started celebrating all your accomplishments, no matter how small they were, way prior to that, right? You started being grateful for yourself. You started, instead of looking at someone else and saying all these things, you were like, I'm brilliant. I am the most important person in my life. When we learn to forgive ourselves, remember, forgiveness takes courage. When we learn to forgive ourselves, it is so easy to take our power back. It is so easy to learn the beautiful melodic sounds of, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yep.
And I don't want to. It doesn't suit me. It's not conducive to my day. My day's already planned out. No, I cannot go here with you. No, I cannot do this for you. You're not being selfish. You're being selfless with the healed parts of you that you have forgiven, which then opens up the doors for you to make decisions going forward that are best suited for you, that will feed your spirit to the point where your ego is so nurtured and you're loving everything about your life. Yeah, one life to live. Okay. And they
Yep.
say life is short, but it is the longest journey you will travel.
Yep.
You must do it according to what you prayed on, what you feel in your soul, what you know is in the best interest for you and your loved ones, because that's what life is about. It's and loved ones is Lori has two younger daughters that are going with her, and I think yes, Iritza, we all have decisions to make in our lives, and it's not about likes, followers. It's not about how much money you have in a bank. It's not about who's your love interest for the moment. What is it that you were born to do? Because we're all born with a purpose. Take that leap. That is the only fucking leap that we had to take since we became aware of our existence.
That's right.
Take the leap towards your purpose in this lifetime. And if your purpose in this lifetime was to be the voice for women of adversity, to be the voice for the all walks of life coming through, which I believe is mine, then that's where you have to take the leap into stop living that rigid routine life and then are constantly saying you're unhappy. Unhappiness comes from the choices you make in your own life. Taking the leap towards the life you want also has to come from within. So begin the inquiries within.
Yes.
Because you cannot move forward unless you are up to date with who you are today. What are you willing? Okay, put it this way. In taking the leap, Badass Buddha's taking a huge leap. I am so proud of her. Because she's changing the trajectory of everything she knows. And she's just taking the leap. Not many can say that they've done that. And if they've done that in the past, then all of a sudden you become stuck in the box. And that box is safe. You know everything about it. So venturing out is kind of scary, right? But that's what life is. Venture out the box that you created. Those walls, nobody put you in that box but yourself. Your fears, your insecurities. You know, people talk about, well, I'm successful now. You know, I have this and everything today. I was listening over the weekend to people talking. Everything is gauged on how many likes they get, how many followers they have on all social medias across the board. Is that your measurement of success? People, they gauge success on how much money they have in the bank. Don't mean it doesn't eliminate your problems. It doesn't eliminate your unhappiness. How many people do you know that have money and still have such basic issues? Okay, so if let's say you take the leap of faith in discovering who you are, take that leap of faith and ask yourself, am I happy? Am I really happy in my life right now? And if you're not, write it down like the Badass Buddha said. And if you're not, then ask yourself, what would make me happy? Have a conversation with yourself. It'll be the best conversation you'll have in your life.
Absolutely. And that's what it really it comes down to. When we ask you all those questions, what are you not doing? What are you not saying? What are you not seeing? What are you not hearing? Think of it along those terms. Are you happy in your life? Are you like across the board happy? Like if you say, well, I'm happy with this, but if there's that but there, but what we were asking you is, what are you not seeing as far as your happiness goes? What are you not doing as far as your happiness goes? What are you not hearing? What are you not saying? Because we're interesting. Humans are very interesting. We will be uncomfortable for quite a long time. Yet we don't like discomfort, but we will stay in parts of our lives that are uncomfortable because it's still comfortable enough. Like we have to get and not everybody. Some people they're out, like they're a little uncomfortable. They're like, okay, I'm out. But the rest of us are like, I could be uncomfortable for a while before I do anything. And then sometimes the divine will jump in and
push your ass
make you very uncomfortable. It'll make you like, it'll make a hurricane come through. It will make you lose your job. It will make you get a health scare. And then that's the wake up call that you need. And that's why we have to say to ourselves, what do I have to wait for those big things? You know, last year I knew I needed to leave. Like I knew I needed to move away. And I kept saying I did. It was on my vision board. It was on my goals list. But I was so stagnant last year, and I was so like fearful about moving that I let that get into the way, and it became painful this year, like really painful this year. And the moment I just said, fuck it, like I'm just gonna try this. I'm just gonna try this. Let me be open to this. Let me be open to that. Things started shifting immediately, just by releasing that piece, getting rid of the resistance, and then just I'm going to be open to this. And then once I was open to that, I was seeing things clearer. Like all of a sudden, things were in front of me that I hadn't seen before. It's just like somebody going, "Do you see that? Like, look at that pretty house over there." And you're like, "Where? I don't see it." And then all of a sudden, you take a step back and you're like, "Oh my God, when did that show up?" You know. I think of it remember that movie Field of Dreams?
Yeah.
Right at the end, the one who was trying to push him to sell the wife's brother, trying to sell the property, and the guy walks out to save the little girl, and he's like, "When did all these baseball players get here?" but that's the thing. It's like we get in our own way. So what seems like a blind leap, what seems like it's so foggy I can't see, like I'm going to take a step and I'm going to jump and I'm going to fall to my death. The clarity, it becomes more noticeable because you've done the work. You've asked yourself the right questions. You've faced that. Listen, nobody had to, you don't have to announce it to people. You didn't have to fill out all that stuff and answer those questions and then shout it out to everybody that because listen, we've talked about this. You don't want to anyway, because the minute you start answering those questions, it's going to disrupt other people's lives because they're intertwined with you. And then they're going to tell you why you shouldn't do these things. They're going to say, you need to do this. You need to come home. You need to not consider that. You need to not do that. What about this? What about that? What about it? That's why you say nothing. You work on yourself. And as you become more clear, then when you do start to let it out there, nobody can say anything to you because you already made up your mind. You don't think that my leap has caused a complete disruption in my immediate, like I have had numerous people coming at me, giving me all kinds of interesting conversations, and I've held steadfast because I know what has to happen in my life. It can't go. It couldn't go in the direction that it was going anymore, and I had to make that big leap. So that had to be it wasn't. I've been making little leaps over the years, but this next phase had to be that big leap. So, yep, I've been getting a lot of shit. I'm announcing it like officially to everybody now, but this has been a decision for a month now that I had decided to do this. So, I've been hearing in all different levels, and it's so easy to just ping it right off. I feel like I'm playing tennis, and the ball's coming at me with somebody's opinion on something. Bing, the other person being bing, the other person being bing, and I'm so good about it. Like now, before I was letting the balls hit me. Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. Now I just learned how to swing. Say, this is what I want. Boom, you're back over there. This is what I want. Boom. And the stronger you get, because that is what you want, the clarity comes in. And then again, all these new paths open up for you.
Absolutely. Because when we are becoming who we were born to be into this, inquiring within, doing everything the badass Buddha just said, remember that requires waking up, getting dressed, and showing the hell up for your life. which is not easy because sometimes we want to sleep in. Sometimes we
Yes.
want to stay in our pajamas all day. Sometimes we want to avoid everybody. So it's not easy. Healing, as I've always said since the beginning of these podcasts, is a tricky little fucker. Okay. That spiritual awakening that we all need to come out into the sunlight to really discover about ourselves is it can become a spiritual emergence. And when it becomes a crisis, because it will, because anytime you are willing to take the leap in your life, it is going to cause a ripple effect of crises and chaos. And you take all of that and you put it all in a pot and you make magic out of it. Because when it becomes a crisis, that's when it's a spiritual emergency. And with all of that, that healing is so integral for you. But it's going to cause a lot of discomfort, as the badass Buddha just said.
Yep.
Because anytime you take the reins back in your life, Maron, you're going to be the bad person, the selfish person, that you don't care about nobody but yourself person. Take it as badges of honor, because it's about fucking time you're coming into your own.
That's right. And you'll hear all types of conversations. Exactly what Gladiator Guru said. You're selfish, you're this, or they'll come out with, how do you know this is going to work? What's going to happen? What if it doesn't work? What are you going to do? That's the stuff that will knock you down. And the clearer you are on, that's why those questions, you think that Gladiator Guru and I just came up with just, hey, let's just do this for the month. We thought that we did. We came up like this would be a good idea. And then we really thought it through, and we talked it through and said, this is actually a really, really good idea, because the clearer you are, the less fear you tend to have, because this is what you say. When somebody says, well, what if it doesn't work? What if this happens? What if that happens? You say, okay,
bring it.
I'm resilient. I will figure it out. Because I got to a point where once I said I'm going to do it, that was one piece of it. But once I said I was going to do it, and I'm not turning back. Like, I am not, this is like,
she burned that bridge. She can't go back.
Exactly.
Sometimes we got to burn our own bridge, so there's no returning.
That's because what's that? They always use this metaphor. Supposedly it's true. There was this group of soldiers, and they came onto I don't know if it was during World War II or something like that. But whatever it was, I don't know. I can't remember exactly. But a lot of speakers use this metaphor, and they say that they came ashore, and the person in charge made them destroy all their boats, like made them destroy everything. And when the soldiers were like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You're destroying our boats." The head person said, "That's because the only way out is to go straight now." And that means that we have to keep moving forward. And we're not saying for you to burn, like, fuck everybody, burn bridge kind of deal. It's more like I'm not allowing myself that choice. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to go right back to what I was doing. I'm not allowing my choice. In other words, if it doesn't work, then I'm going to find the choice that I don't even know exists yet, because it hasn't been presented to me yet. When that's a different type of leap. And when you get to that leap, that's because I've already dealt with the fear. Am I going to be fearful when I go? I mean, of course, there's so many unknowns, but I know that I have the ability to shift, and I'm going to make it work no matter what. I'm going to make it work no matter what. I was not here last year. I was not in that place last year to say, I'm going to make it work no matter what. I was terrified last year. So that's why, it's, you do that work and you ask yourself those questions. So if you have not done it, please go back and answer those questions. Seriously, because it's, you have time. Remember, we set you up so that you could start creating this energetic shift now to get ready. If you say, I want to do this for my New Year's resolution, I don't care. We don't care. There's no judgment on what you call it, but the prep work needs to happen. We're not telling you to just blindly jump and take a leap
No.
with no prep work. That's like, I mean, you got to have some prep work, but
Well,
but it's about being honest with yourself, like what you always say in Spanish. What is it that you always say in
nunca te
Spanish?
engañes. And thank you
Yep.
for bringing that up, because you know what? We didn't, just say, oh, this would be a good topic. The Badass Buddha and I, we have hours of sitting together when we're prepping for the show. And then we figured, we had a lot of fun shows during the summer, but now it's, the end of the year. The birds are here, right? So it's prior to holidays. What happens during holidays? There's a lot of mixed emotions. I'm happy. I love Thanksgiving because I was born on it. And then Christmas, I love everything about Christmas until we get to Christmas Day. But I love watching the movies and seeing the people decorate, going to the stores, and that excites me about Christmas. Never Christmas Day, because then it's over.
Oh my God, that's so funny. You get them the same exact way.
Yeah, and so but it's also high suicide. These last months of the year, there's a lot of confusion. People who've lost their jobs, and now the holidays are here. And it starts with Halloween. All the way up until after Three Kings Day for us Latinos, and so there's a lot of hurting people. So we wanted to make the weeks in September count, and to remind you that you are important. The movie The Help, my favorite line that I tell my kids, I text it to them every day, that the greatest reminder is you is small, you is kind, you is important. And if you always remind yourself that, and then speak that truth into your kids as they start their days off, talk to them. When you discover what you're not seeing, saying, hearing, not walking a mile in your own shoes, how do you expect your loved ones to understand you? And the Badass Buddha started this procession and didn't share it with everybody because it wasn't everybody's business, but she did incorporate her girls. So they knew about this every step of the way. So guess what happened? They're all on board. They're her shields, and she's their shield. And they're going, and they've made decisions, and the three of them have pumped each other up. And that's why taking to sleep was not as rough as the initial thought was. Why? Because she did the work. She fine-tuned it. Then she brought it to the people that mattered, the people whose lives were going to change alongside her. And that's how we ask you, go back and listen. What are you not seeing, saying, hearing? What are you not speaking? What truths are you hiding from yourself? Because at the end of the day, you are your success. And when you set the intentions every day to be filled with gratitude and kindness, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to cross that bridge, and then I'm going to cut it. You're going to do it.
Yep.
Because you have one life that isn't that long, but the journey is. So those memories through every step you take in this lifetime, it's going to be remembered, and it's going to be transferred to your kids. You want them to say, my mom was a badass. Or my mom, although we didn't have much, we had it all.
Yes, that's exactly, that gives me strength. And I'm also very grateful, again, when you become very clear on what it is that you want. And, a lot of times, again, like people who talk about law of attraction, there was like, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. But you do need to know what you don't want to help you identify what you really want. What's important to you.
Thank you for saying that.
And so for me, it was what I didn't want. I didn't want my children to believe that you stay somewhere where you're not completely happy because you're afraid to go or you're afraid of this. And I'm grateful that my kids are on board. Like my two youngest, yes, they've been in the conversation. My oldest wasn't in the conversation at first because I needed to make sure that this is, before I involved her, this is what I was going to do. And she was a little upset about the fact that I didn't tell her right away. But now she's on board with it, and I'm grateful that my youngest kids are up for the adventure, that they're not even thinking twice. Like, they actually are excited about it. And that's made it much easier. Things have been going in an order that have actually not been too challenging. And that's what starts to happen when you are doing the things that you're supposed to do, when you're going in the direction you're supposed to go. You don't hit a lot of barriers. When you do, you'll know how to get around it. You don't just sit there and stop and get stuck. But we're always afraid to take that leap. But then as we take that leap, and that is the direction we're supposed to go in, things just happen. They just happen. And you have to notice it. That's the other thing. You have to say, oh my gosh, it really was easier to do it this way.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful for that. Oh my gosh, it was really easy to do it this way. I'm grateful for that. I want to also acknowledge something that Iritza wrote. Iritza says, that's all she hears is, it must be nice. And you say Iritza is, it is. That's it. When somebody gives you that bullshit, like, oh, it must be nice, blah, blah, blah. It is. And that's that. There's no, that is a prime example of how people are going to mess with your vision, your direction. They have an opinion on it. And all that is based on their own opinion. Oh, it must be nice to be able to do this, this, and this. It really is. You should try it sometime.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Like, people don't say that a lot to me. And I'm happy. And I'm happy for Evie, because you know what? Sometimes we need to be knocked on our ass again to finally see what we need to see, hear what we need to hear, smell what we need to smell. That bullshit is coming a block away, but because it's family or close friends or our lover, we tend to have adjusted to the smell of, this is no longer serving me. And badass, if you would permit me, I just wanted to read real quick. It's okay.
I will permit you, Gladiator.
Called The Box, because we mentioned earlier. And this poem, when I published my first book, I received a lot. Actually, one person in California and two in New York who told me that they made a photocopy of this poem and carried it with them in their purse because it reminded them of what they needed to do. One actually got divorced, broke free from her narcissistic husband, and went and got her master's and became a professor at Hunts Point College. But anyway, this is The Box. Funny how we go through life living in a box that we have created around us, not venturing out to taste, smell, feel something different. Our lives are not the happiest. Our mate, not the soul born into this world for us, but we stay so as not to leave the box. The comfort, the security that we have become sewn into. The thought of being without him, I'm going to read it as it is, made me feel as though I would die. Then I realized that I was dying with him by my side. It had nothing to do with him. It was me, my yearning to venture out on my own, to see what I could accomplish if I could truly make my dreams a reality. I knew with every being of my soul, with every beat of my heart, that I had to break free of my fears that had become the walls to the box. I felt trapped, caged in. I was living and dying in my box. I woke up from my nightmare and said, "No mas!" And I left. I have begun my journey, and guess what? I love the scenery. My journey can be scary at times, a bit confusing at others, but still, this is my life with my thoughts, feelings, and opinions, mine alone. I will conquer this thing called fear because I am stronger, because I am a woman, because I am somebody, and because I love me. Punto. The Box. That's it.
Love it. Fantastic.
I love it too. I'm glad you're out the box. Missed and love you. Let me tell you, the box can serve for anything. We put ourselves in a box. We cannot blame anybody around us.
That's
Our
true.
fears are the walls to that box. We can all accomplish what we want. When we can't, People like, oh, I can't now. Why? I have endured it all my life. I said when the kids were grown, then I would go do this, and I didn't because then this took effect. The only time you cannot accomplish what you want in your life is when you are dead. While you are still breathing, walking, and talking, you can make a change in an instant, in 1 minute's time. You can change and take a leap towards the life you've always wanted. It's not about money. It's not about the car. It's not about where you're going to go. It's about you believing and trusting in yourself to the point that, when you say, this is not going to be my life. This is not my story. And you say, fuck this. And you walk out with your pocketbook. That's all you need, because you got you. And you are the whole package. So what is your leap?
Think of it too when you're talking about the box. Picture yourself in a box, and the box is closed. And all we keep saying is, I got to get out of the box. I got to get out of the box. And you keep pushing up on the top of the box. Do you know that most of the time when we finally get that box to open up and we see the sky above us, we're just good enough to stay and sit right back down and say, okay, I feel better now. You don't even try to get out. And animals do that sometimes too. If they get used to being in the box, they won't even bother to walk out. This is interesting. So people buy like things like cage-free, or free-range eggs, whatever, cage-free, free-range chicken, all that stuff. People talk about that, right? There's a difference between free-range and cage-free.
Yes.
What's the difference? Free-range is they just go out and walk around. Cage-free just means that they're in this huge, huge chicken coop. And by law, according to the USDA, all they have to do is open up the doors for 4 hours a day and give them the opportunity to walk out and then come back in. But what they don't tell you is that when these chickens are little, they keep them caged in that house for a certain period of time because they're vulnerable. They can get sick very easily. They're but whatever. And they keep them caged to a certain age. When they finally open the doors and say, go ahead, you can go out, they're terrified. But they could still market it as cage-free because they opened the door. They chose not to go out of the coop. And that's what happens for us is we say we want out. What's outside? What are we're going to do? But we keep ourselves boxed in so much for so long. When we finally have the opportunity to step out, we're too terrified to do it. We're like, okay, I'm just going to stand out here. And this is okay. Yep. Okay, good enough. I saw, I'm good. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all we look at rather than being that. Think about when you were younger, when your parents used to say to you, you can't do this. You were immediately ready to do the opposite. Oh, you said I can't do it? You do the opposite. You can't go out tonight. You were out. But then somewhere along the lines when we get older, we just stop doing that. We just stop being that person. And sometimes we use the excuse and say, oh, I'm just, like you said before, it's like, I'm just, I'm tired of doing that, or I don't want to fight that stuff out there. Who says you have to fight? Who says that it has to be challenging? Like I said, the minute I made that decision, things started flowing in an amazing direction. And the funny part is once I opened myself up to one opportunity, actually a whole bunch more came in. Mm-hmm. And the hardest part that I had was actually deciding my opportunity, because that's something I didn't expect, at all. But now I'm kind of going, okay, well, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. I'm even getting stuff from the fact that I'm the one moving myself and the children.
Which is amazing.
We're getting the truck to.
You're driving that chariot.
That's right.
Battle, and now you get to get on the inlaid gold chariot and carry on.
And that's what people are like. You're gonna drive the truck across. How long is it going to? 4 days. Oh my God! How are you going to do that? I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to drive. How's that? I'm like, well, this is the cheapest way to do it. I'm not going to spend all that money to have somebody move me when I don't want to use that money up,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't believe you're going to do that. Why? It's a moving truck. What the hell's the difference? It's like I have two able-bodied children, that's the way. And I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be vigilant. I'm going to make sure I'm safe. My children are safe. But it's just planning. That's all it is. It's like, okay, I'm going to plan my thing. Da, da, da. That's it. When somebody is, as long as you say, I know I could do it, and not be blind walking into it going, oh, I didn't expect this. Just expect the unexpected. This is a possibility. This is a possibility.
And but
okay, what happens?
How easy is it to do exactly what the badass Buddha said? When you cultivate yourselves, the self-trust, the self-belief, the self-respect, the self-love. When you cultivate the self, because when you were born, your spirit was brought in. I don't care what you believe in. I believe in God. And when God breathed life into us, we're born with our own direction, with our spirit. And then we, the infancy, and then we grow into ourselves, and we need to discover and all that. But everything we need, every tool in the shed that we need to move forward is already within us. So if you cultivate the self-trust, the self-belief, the self-respect, the self-love, then you know that driving 4 days will be exhausting unless you plan. And the badass Buddha already has a schedule. How many hours she's going to drive, how many stops she's going to make in between to refresh. It's all set. And that is her purpose for this road trip. She set it up. She thought about it. She looked at the map. She figured this out, how many miles here, there, and there. When you do that, your leap of faith within yourself is a smooth ride. She's not saying, oh, I'm going to drive this. It's going to take 4 or 5 days. I'm going to do this. No, she's done the work, the important work ahead of time. So when it's time to leave, that's all she got to do is hop her ass in the truck, have the car behind her all set up, and then you drive. But she has her agenda already. Why? Because she self-cultivated the whole journey. And once she's there, then she got to regroup, because now she's in a different place, different energies, right? A different feeling now. Her aura's like, okay, I'm a little confused. I'm somewhere new. I knew I was coming, but now I'm here. But she's already prepared. That's what we need to do with our lives. We need to make a decision, take the lead, and have that self-trust within ourselves that shit's gonna go wrong. Shit's gonna get scary. Shit's gonna get lonely. It's gonna get confusing. But guess what? Shit's gonna get done.
That's right. Like what, there's so many variables, and it's not, and it's not just me. I'm going, and my 2 kids are going. My youngest has to start school. She's going to be going from one school to another. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I don't even have a place to live yet. I haven't found a rental. And I know I'll find it. I'm not like, the best case scenario is I find it. It's wonderful. And worst case scenario is I have to stay in one of those efficiency apartments, like one of those extended stay places until I find a place. But either way, I will make it work. That'll be more of a pain in the ass, but it'll make it work. And there's so many variables, like my little one is going to a new school, meeting new kids. What if she doesn't like it? What if she gets bullied? What if it's great? What if it's like the coolest adventure for her ever? And we've talked about this because she is nervous about that. And I said, she's like, what if I don't want to go to the school? What if I don't like it? And I said, then we know, you only have to go until the end of this year, and then we'll regroup and decide what we do next year when you're in 5th grade. Maybe you will be homeschooled. Maybe there's right now that isn't an option because of but if it had to be, then I'd figure it out. You know what I mean? So it's I wish I could explain why it's different this year, like fully. Like before there was so many what ifs, and I was saying it myself. Like, well, what if this? What if, before I even got started? Now it's, well, what if this happens? Well, what if it does? Then we'll shift. What if this happens? What if it does? And I have an answer for it, or I don't have an answer for it. And I say, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. I wasn't there last year. I was trying to figure it out before I even took the leap. Now I'm taking the leap going, I mean, I'm not going blind, but I'm saying, but if I'm going in this direction, that doesn't work. It's like being, like I'm driving. If I mapped it all out and all of a sudden realize that interstate is closed off, they closed that off. I have to get off and do a detour. I got to do a detour. I mean, I have no choice. I could sit there at this and stop on that highway and go, I'm going to wait until they open the highway back up again. I'm not moving because that's the only direction I knew to go. No, you get your ass off the highway because you have to, and then you follow the detour, and then you get back on at some point. But so many times we just sit there on that highway refusing to move and go, I'm not getting off because I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to wait till it opens. And maybe it does open. Maybe it doesn't open for years. I'm tired of waiting.
The mentality of it's everybody else's fault. Take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your life. Stop blaming every person, place, and thing around you.
Georgie.
And grow the fuck up. And I just have one last question before you go. What, from when you first heard the word till today, how would you describe Maktab?
Oh, I've been using it so much, like especially this weekend. I've been using it so much. Maktab, well, tell everybody what Maktab means again and where it's from.
Maktab, I read it in 92, 93. The first time I read the book, The Alchemist.
The Alchemist.
Paulo Coelho. And that word, even when I read it back then, and I had a lot going on in my life back then. No, I think I read it in 97. I'm sorry, I had to correct myself. And that word always resonated. It resonated. I looked it up because I love to look it up. And in the book at the end, it tells you what it means. But it is an ancient Arabic language. And maktab means it is written. They have it as Allah, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it. It is written, which means we all had a purpose for coming into this world, for being born. Maktab means everything that's happening in your life, it has been written. How you handle it is up to you. That's the cultivation of all the selves. So when you say, why is this happening to me? I can't deal with all these changes. It has been written. Okay? So don't stay and try to fight because the highway's closed and get all worked up and upset and be angry with the people in the car with you. Take the detour. Figure out where the detour's going. Follow the other cars. And then stop when you need to stop. Take a deep breath. And then say, okay, pull out your map and redirect. A lot of us don't like to be redirected. Well, redirect your own self. Take that leap into taking full responsibility of how everything is falling forward in your life. Because only you can do that. And if you take your power back, say, oh, shit, the highway's closed. What the hell? I'm going to be delayed an hour. All right, ready? We're going to be delayed an hour. Punto. Take that detour.
Fuck this. You're gonna say, fuck this. I'm not waiting for that.
And then you're going to take that detour is gonna happen. And it might have saved your life. You heard stories from other people, but do you ever wonder when you're rushing because your ass was late and all of a sudden something cuts you off or there's a detour? You're like, what? And then later on you hear that where you were heading to was like a 5-car collision. And at the same time, you would have been there. Maktab. So be filled with gratitude every day of your life because you don't know what you're getting protected from. This world is more spiritual than it is human. So connect with that spirit. Feed your spirit. Nurture your ego. Feed it because when it's well nourished, you get to see exactly what you need to see. in your life, and you make the decisions according to your life, not everybody else's opinions. And that's what taking the leap is. Believing in yourself so much that against fear, against family disconcernments, against everybody except yourself, you're going to take the leap of faith in what you know is right for your life. That's what this is about. Take the leap of faith. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. And do it. You know, but before we go, I heard something yesterday when this guy asked a group of people, can anybody tell me what Nike stands for? And the crowd's like, just do it. And then he says, what about Adidas? And they said, nothing's impossible, or something to that effect with Adidas. And then he says, okay, now tell me, what do you stand for? The room went quiet. How is it that we learn about everything outside of us, but we don't give ourselves enough respect to learn what we stand for? Take that leap of faith and learn who the hell you are, so wherever you stand is firm, so that when you make a decision to move to New Mexico and everybody's throwing their daggers and their arrows and you got to be dodging, you're exhausted by the end of the night, dodging, you know, becoming the Matrix and going all the way back and avoiding all those daggers and arrows. And guess what? But you're true to who you are. And that's what this is about. Take the leap of faith towards yourself. And it is the hardest journey, lesson that you're ever going to encounter. The self is always the most difficult, because it's easy to just forget this and say, oh, Lori's this and Lori's that. And did you see so-and-so? No, what do you do?
Yep.
Celebrate yourself. So
what do they always say?
What?
One finger pointed forward at the other person, the three fingers are back at you.
Yeah, look at that.
And I have seen that happen in the last 3 days since I've been in California. There has been so many interesting things that have happened. And all I say to myself is, I am so happy that I am on the journey that I am on, because there's been so many things showing me that this is the direction I need to take, because of, there's so much toxicity around me that it's just time for me to go. It became really clear. It was almost like looking from an outside view, and not in an arrogant way. Not like, oh, I'm better than these people. Not at all. It's this observation of, wow, I know clearly the person that I want to be. And I'm looking at some of these other people around me, and some of them that I'm related to, and going, I don't want to be that person. No, they can be that person. I'm not judging them, but I don't want to be that person. And the way for me to not be that person, to really, really go to the next level, is to get out of the environment and start fresh, and show my kids that they can do this, and they're resourceful, and they can keep going. And we're doing it together. That's the other beauty. Like, I keep saying that to them. I'm like, listen, we don't know what's going to happen. So this is going to be an amazing adventure for all of us, because we don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to have to make it work. And I think that the kids are just so happy to be in a new environment and be in their own place. And they're so excited about that piece of it. They're not focused on the pieces that might not work. And if you instill that in such a young age, there's no, that's going to be huge. Right. And that was a big piece for me, because I kept thinking in my head, if I stay one more year, if I stay another 2 years where I am and doing what I'm doing in this way, what is that setting for them? Mm-hmm. And that, I think that's the part that really gave me the kick in the ass that I needed, because I did not want my girls to ever feel like I'm just too afraid to go. Like, I can't go, or I can't do this because, and well, my mom didn't, so, or resent me. I looked at it and said, we just have to try, and we're going to do it. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to try over here. And whatever it is, another path will open up. And if it doesn't open up, then we make it.
and before we go, Iritza wrote something earlier. I don't know if you put it up because I don't get, but she says, I'd rather be poor but happy. I'm happier now more than when I had my big business, my Lexus, my own place to live. And I'm working on being happy, even though I don't have a pot to piss in. I feel rich. Now, I saw that going up. And let me tell you something. That right there, this is brilliantly said.
Yes, I agree.
And not everybody is going to agree with that because there's just some people who need to have material things in order to feel successful. And I'm not going to judge you because who am I to judge you? Discernment. That's something I have been practicing all this year, and I fall short occasionally, especially when I get angry. But it's still something that then it pops in my head. But yes, and you know what? Iris and I have had this conversation because that's how I feel. When I bring up, well, how do you measure success? Because all I hear people is talking about what name brands they own, what kind of car keep changing, how much money they have. But then I'm like, they're working just to keep up that status. I'll be a broke bitch any day of the week, walk in my truth, say no when I gotta say no, always smile. And if I have to give the shirt off my back to a stranger, I've done it and I will continue to do so because people, places, and things don't make me. And that's where you take the leap of faith and you do what you got to do to make you happy going forward. I am so proud of the Badass Buddha because there's changes that are difficult. There's decisions to be made that not only affect you, but when you use discernment and you speak and you encourage and you incorporate everyone involved in every decision made, the path gets paved for you. And that's what we need to realize. I'm doing this alone. Iris is doing this alone. We're grandmothers, for crying out loud. What Badass Buddha did was she took the leap of faith in bringing this to her two youngest. And she opened her heart to say, if they're truly against it, then I'm going to have to wait. She weighed her options and she was okay with however it turned out. And it turned out to benefit all of them. And that's what having open communication is about. That is believing in yourself enough to celebrate every single accomplishment. It don't matter if that accomplishment was you washing your ass for today. Celebrate it. Take that champagne glass, that wine glass, fill it with water if you have to, and celebrate yourself. Because the end results are you can die any day of the week and know that you did everything in your power to make life a little better for you and those you love. So take that leap of faith and grow into the person you were born to be. That's it.
That's perfect. That's a perfect way to end. So thanks everybody for staying on the extra few minutes. As always, if you have not answered those questions throughout the month of September, go back. And you don't have to watch the videos from start to finish, although it'd be great, but just go back and answer the questions, put it together in a notebook, and then answer that. What is your leap? What is it that you've been holding back? What is it that you really do want to do? And make it happen. Set yourself up to take the leap, either right away, maybe you have to do it right now, or by the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. But just do it. Because the longer you sit, it's just going to weigh you down. It's going to really eat at your spirit. And I know that from absolute experience. So thank you for being on today. We're so thrilled that you're here. I will be back in Connecticut on Thursday's show. And on Thursday's show, we start breast cancer awareness. We're going to do 2 weeks of breast cancer awareness. And then we're going to end the last 2 weeks of October with Domestic Violence Awareness Month because those are happening both in October. So for the next 2 episodes, we will have one of our friends of the show, Karen Sammer, coming on. And she's going to be talking about breast cancer awareness on Thursday and Tuesday. And then we will go into and end the month with domestic violence awareness with Lillian Maldonado coming on twice. So thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate it. We love all the comments. And please make sure that you list these things. If you feel comfortable to share it at some point, just send us a message and we'll post these things. Because if you're ready to share, it makes a big difference when you finally announce publicly the things that you're doing, because you know there's no turning back.
Yes, you gotta hold yourself accountable, because
That's right.
and that's why a lot of people, you know. But thank you, Nelly Hernandez. I'm hoping that's my sister-in-law. Thank you for coming on. And Georgianne, yes, we are. We're living in spiritual warfare, and we have to fight our battles within in order to set the perimeters outside of us. And Petey, thank you for sharing so much today. Badass Buddha. Confessions
Badass Buddha.
Confessions on Viva. That was beautiful. Yeah.
And from the Badass Buddha, we'll end now. So from the Badass Buddha, remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And for today's, I'm going to use the one I just learned how to say, because we're taking the leap, which means you got to breathe in your beauty and breathe out their bullshit. Namaste.
Namaste.